Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of So Recently. I'm one of your hosts, Miranda. Joined with me, as always, is Matt.
Hey.
And today, we're going to be talking about something kind of fun, collecting. I know I've had some collections throughout my life, and Matt, you've been collecting things recently.
Yeah.
Want to tell me a bit about that?
Yeah, so we were just trying to discuss topics and things to talk about, and one of the things I noticed is that several of the different things that I've been doing lately, or interests I've had lately, revolve around collecting. So the main one that kind of brought this up was I've been collecting steelbook media. So for those of you who I guess don't know, it's if you buy a Blu-ray or a DVD, sometimes you'll see a version of it that's in a metal tin case. And I used to think they were really stupid, and I had no reason to want them, and then randomly got two that look cool, and so now I've been collecting them. So it's to be clear, it's a light collection, but it's getting to the point where I feel it can be called a collection. So that's one of the things that initially prompted this topic. And then another thing is I've been playing, and you've been playing a game, Pokemon the trading card game Pocket, on phones, and that is the trading card game of Pokemon kind of put into a mobile device. But I think a big appeal of the game is you get to open packs and build a collection.
It's pretty fun.
There is the actual game as well, but realistically I'm just doing it to collect more cards. So yeah, I think that's kind of what at least initially spurred the idea of collecting as something we should talk about.
Okay, yeah. Well, right off the bat, though, you kind of mentioned you had your steelbook was kind of a smaller collection. You didn't really count it as a collection. At what point did it turn into I'm collecting this, and now you're actually looking for other steelbooks to add to your collection?
Yeah, so I was just quick eyeball counting how many I have. And I have 10 now.
Okay.
So I feel it's definitely a collection now, but I think when I realized I was going to start collecting them was maybe when I had 3 or 4.
Okay.
So I feel it always starts with a smaller collection, at least for me. It's I want to collect these things, and then suddenly it kind of spirals out from there. So what I mean by that is there was a steelbook I bought on Amazon because it was on sale. Mm-hmm. It's called Paprika, the film.
Oh, right, yeah.
It's an anime movie, and it's by the director Satoshi Kon, and they only have so many projects they worked on. They passed away, so there's a very limited amount of how many movies he did and projects he did. And so initially I was well, I'll just buy all that stuff, because it'd be cool to just have the full collection of one person. Mm-hmm. I don't know, it just seemed cool, and he's pretty well respected for anime films and anime projects. And so I did that, and then at that point I have 4 or 5 things, right? And then at that point it's well, is this it, or do I just keep going? Because now, because I was well, I also have this Ghost in the Shell steelbook that I bought years ago when it was on sale, and so I already have something that's not just Satoshi Kon. So what if I just keep buying more? Which is this is super consumerist, and if you don't want to buy stuff, collecting is the last hobby you should get into. And I wouldn't even say it's a hobby for me, but I just noticed that occasionally I'll get very invested into collecting certain things, and so that's the current one right now.
No, that's fair.
I think once you have more, there's not a limit, I guess, or there's not a specific number. I wouldn't say 2 things constitutes a collection. Mm-hmm. But I think anything more than 3.
Is it more if you have the desire to keep getting more, then it becomes a collection?
Yeah, potentially.
Okay.
Probably, because if you have, say, the original trilogy of Star Wars on Blu-ray, mm-hmm. I wouldn't say that's a collection, I have the whole collection of movies. It's I have the trilogy, right?
Yeah.
But if you're I have every Star Wars media, or it's I have every Star Wars movie even, right? I have the whole collection of movies. I think that becomes a thing.
Okay.
There's a very ambiguous line with it though, right?
Yeah.
I just don't feel there's a definitive, this is a collection, this isn't a collection, but I do feel I can look at something and think that's not a collection.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah,
I don't know.
That was what I was wondering. I was talking to James about this topic because I was writing down things that I had collected throughout my life, and I got to a couple things where I'm hold on. Does it count as a collection if I enjoyed what I had? For those who are listening don't know, growing up my nickname was Panda. Mm-hmm. And because of that, every single person in my life gave me a panda, stuffed animal, mm-hmm. a blanket, pillow, whatever it is. It was a lot. I don't think I ever bought myself any panda related thing.
Right.
But I have a collection of pandas. And it's not I didn't enjoy it. But that's a collection, right? Like, I collected it, right? Or did other people collect it for me?
Yeah. It's still a collection that you have, even if you're not like a collector of it, right? Well, no, you're still a collector of it, but like you're not choosing to be.
Some of them.
Yeah. It is weird. I feel like collecting is just like a weird hobby. Like, I wouldn't classify it as a hobby. It's just like something you do.
I think people would do. I mean, think
Some
about
people,
like
some
the
people
stereotypical...
are like coin collectors.
Yeah,
or...
coin collectors, stamp collectors. Like, people do that. And like you mentioned, not wanting to pay for things. I have a free collecting item that people can go out and find. What I have done my entire life with my mother: cool rocks.
Cool rocks.
Cool rocks, man. We literally have cool rocks from like my childhood that I found, like, just
nice
out in our basement. Like, we just have them.
Yeah, so like you can. I mean, you can do like I feel like collecting always has like the consumer type like buying mentality to it, but I feel like you could go away from that for sure, like you mentioned, or different other ways as well. But yeah, I don't know. Collecting's like a really weird thing because it's not like definitive, and it's not like a definitive definition. At least I don't think. And like, I wouldn't call myself a collector, but like, there's definitely things where I'm like, oh yeah, I'm collecting these, right? Like, it's weird.
For at least for a bit.
Yeah.
What do you? Okay, I kind of have an idea of why I collect, but like, do you have a reason why you get so into something and you're just like, I want more and more? Like,
that's a really good question.
Do you have something that, like, for me, it's like, for example, maybe this past year, James, my boyfriend, and I have kind of started looking for pins.
Right. Okay.
Specific pins. Like, we're very particular with what kind of pins we want, but we kind of pooled whatever pins we had together and went, we have kind of like a pin board-esque thing.
Okay.
And we found ones for our last 2 trips we went on.
Okay.
And it's almost like, it feels like a treasure hunt because I don't always know what I'm looking for. But when I see it, I'm like, that's the one I want. Out of like these 20 pins I'm seeing, this is the one.
Okay.
And there's something really exciting and satisfying about it to be able to do that. But that's specifically for pins and how I feel about that. And then there's... like, I also, this, I collect wizard cards.
Yep.
And have since
from Harry
I was
Potter.
Probably, yeah, from Harry Potter. I've been doing it since I was like 7 or 8. And now they're not as exciting because the Wizarding World of Harry Potter, like, merchandise has taken over and now they're not fun.
Yeah.
But I have ones from like they don't make them anymore.
Right.
Which is really fun and exciting. And now it's like, it's the same like 4 cards. You always get Godric, Gryffindor, or Ravenclaw. It's always the same ones because that's all people care about.
And it's like a process for those. Like, you'd have to go to the theme park, or you have to like buy it from direct, like, on their website. Yeah. It's like a little less fun once it gets...
It's a little less fun now. But my mom will still find like chocolate frogs like at like JCPenney's.
Nice.
Like at their checkout
and like
line.
get those ones.
But they're just not as fun anymore, which is sad.
Yeah. Collecting's a weird one, too, where, like, a collection can kind of turn sour in a way like that. Or at least not sour, but maybe, like, less fun.
Less exciting.
Yeah, like, similarly, you're talking Harry Potter. Like, I have a bunch of Harry Potter books. And I'm kind of like, yeah, like, this is great, but, like, I don't need to, like, keep buying these anymore. So now I'm just like, okay, like, I just have a ton of books that are the same books, so I'm like, well,
you went a little crazy. Like, I'm a fan, but you were like...
I wouldn't say I have an extreme amount, but I would definitely say I have more than most people, right?
How many copies of all the books do you have?
Well, so really, of like the full set, I have 2 sets of each. I have a paperback, and then I have a hardcover, and then I have 4 of, I think, like the 5 released illustrated copies.
Oh, the illustrated ones? Okay.
And I think I'm just like not as interested in collecting them anymore, so I don't know if I'll ever finish that collection. I might, but I might just like give them to somebody who has a kid. So like,
that might be good.
That seems like a better thing because I don't really have interest in having them anymore in the same way. But like, I've seen like people where they have like every different type of copy, right? And then like, I also had other copies as a kid growing up, but like, I destroyed those books by throwing them in backpacks and stuff. So like, of like a nice quality copy of Harry Potter, I have I have 2, really, so it's not extreme anymore.
I guess it's not extreme, but I only have like, well, technically I have 2 complete sets, but one of them is in Chinese.
A whole set? Or just
a whole
one?
set.
Oh.
No, I got all 7 books in Chinese.
Oh, dang. I thought it was just one.
No, I can't read Chinese for listeners. It was given to me by a family friend who went to China and brought me back the entire series. I did not ask for that. It's cool. It's really cool. But yeah, I haven't, yeah.
Yeah. So like, I feel like collecting is kind of weird where like there is a chance that like, depending on what you're into, you just will be less into it at some point. And then you just won't need it as much. That being said, I'm still like love the books and everything. I just like don't need that many copies anymore. So it's just kind of like
you don't want to keep building the collection. Like at some point you're like, I'm good.
Yeah, but like, you know, you get different interests and stuff too. So I don't know. I feel like I kind of like you mentioned with talking with like pins though, and how you're very deliberate with what you're collecting.
Yeah.
I kind of feel like I have to put parameters on myself or else I'll go overboard. So, for example, like with the steelbooks that we talked about at the beginning, I was like, for a bit, like, I'm going to look at all these steelbooks and I'm going to get like all these different like movies that I like. And, oh, this steelbook is coming out. Like, I haven't seen that movie, but that would be cool to own. And then I was just like, hold up, like, I don't need this, right? And I needed to kind of like dial it back. So my parameter now for steelbooks is it has to be anime.
Oh, okay. I like that.
Which sounds super nerdy, but like, I don't know. Like, I feel like so many movies are available all over the place. And for me, it's like, well, this is like a cool thing to own. It's not something that you'd see all over. It's got cool art. It's kind of fun to have on a shelf with other anime steelbooks. And like, I'm not going to buy a physical copy of every movie I watch anymore. I just like can't afford that.
No.
So I was like, well, this way I can like set it to anime because there's also only so much anime I watch.
Right.
So it's like, well,
One Piece.
I kind of have to be, One Piece. It's just One Piece, but it's like, kind of has to be deliberate, right? Like I can't go crazy and buy 100 of my favorite movies. It's like, well, if I'm buying just anime stuff, I have to buy just what's available in steelbook format for these movies. So it's like pretty limited in what I'm actually buying.
Man, yeah, I don't even think about doing that, but I know James and I have like unspoken parameters for pins. Like we're kind of particular about them, and we've discussed like specific pins for like different movies.
Okay.
Like we would both love Treasure Planet.
Okay. Yeah, that's a great movie.
Don't tell James this, but I bought him a pin from that movie. And, I mean, it should be here for Christmas, but if it's not, hey, James, I got you a pin.
Okay. Well, hopefully he's not listening to this, Miranda.
I don't think he wouldn't do that.
He maybe not, no.
I'll tell him not to. But it's sick. It's of the main guy on his surf glider thing. It's really cool.
Oh, that's sweet.
Yeah, it's really cool.
That's kind of, I don't know. There's something like kind of fun about like maybe just having something to keep an eye out for. I think that's also part of the appeal, right? Like it makes exploring online or exploring like local shops like a little bit more fun.
Oh yeah, when we were in Ireland, we stumbled across a pin that we liked. I was kind of looking for pins because I was like, oh, I'd love to. Magnets are fine, and I'm okay with getting magnets, but there's something more special about a pin in my head. And
yeah, sure.
It was a few stores that we went in and saw some pins, and we were like, they're not that great. Maybe we won't get a pin. And then we finally found one. We're like, oh, this one.
That's cool. We like it.
That's part of the whole, like, it felt like we were searching for, like, buried treasure. And we're like, oh, we did it.
Yeah, that's kind of what I've been enjoying about, like, collecting these steelbooks. It's like, just kind of keeping an eye out for, like, cool movies that, like, otherwise I maybe wouldn't have explored. I think something fun for me right now with anime steelbooks is I have to kind of have an idea that I'm interested in something enough that I want to buy it.
True.
So it's like I'm not just buying these to not watch them. My goal is I'm buying these, watching them, and liking them.
Yeah.
And adding something cool to the collection. So, like, I just bought the Berserk anime steelbook, which looks so sick. I'm just going to grab it quick. But Berserk is a manga, and it looks so sick.
That does look really cool.
Yeah, it's super cool. So, I don't know. Like, it's just kind of fun to have something to, like, get into in a way. I do feel like there's other collections I have that I wouldn't say are collections, though. And so I think that's something interesting. Like, we talked about board games, I think, in our first episode.
I was going to ask if you consider your board game collection a collection.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I don't think so.
I think it is.
It is, but like not in the same way, right? Like it's not like I'm deliberately collecting board games.
I mean, you're playing them. It's not like you're just buying them to have them. You're buying them to play them.
I like board games and I want to have board games to play. It is a collection because it's not just like one, but it's not
Or
a collection
two,
in the same way where I'm
7.
like collecting steelbooks, right? Yeah, I mean 7. Come on, Miranda,
Okay.
it's a lot more than 7. But
So yeah,
do you know what I mean? Like
that's what I mean. Like it's
but that's what's interesting is like I would say this is a collection. I guess board games is too, but like I don't feel like I'm collecting board games where I'm collecting these.
Okay,
Does that make sense?
So
like I have way more board games.
So what we're
like,
talking
but I
about
feel
here,
like this is a collection of steelbooks.
what we're talking about here, Matt, is to be a collector is to have a certain emotion when buying an item.
True, and I do
adding
get excited
to
by a
the
board game.
collection. Because I would say, and I think you would say, that you have a collection of board games, but you're not collecting board games.
Sure.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I feel like we're gonna be like, this is a lot of like in circles, because
Yeah.
you have a collection of board games. If I were to go
Yeah.
to your house, I mean, I've been there. You have a collection.
Nobody would look at my board game cabinets with a sizable amount of board games in them and say
He has more than 7.
Yeah, I think I have like 70, but
Yeah, I think so too.
but I might have more than that too. But either way, like no one would say that's not a collection, but like I don't feel like I'm a collector of board games.
Okay.
Like I feel like I have a collection of them, but I wouldn't say I'm a collector of board games. I don't even know if I would say I'm a collector of like anime steelbooks. I'm not buying everything, but I have a collection.
Yeah.
Like does that make sense?
Well,
like it's
you have a different
I think
emotion.
being a collector is like a altogether different thing. Like if I was buying every single anime steelbook,
Not necessarily. No, you could be a specific anime steelbook collector. That's what you're collecting. Like, people collect baseball cards, but only, might only collect like certain teams.
Sure.
You'd still a collector.
Yeah, it's a weird thing. Like I feel like there's not like a definitive answer, right? Like I feel like I am collecting these and I am a collector of anime steelbooks, but I'm not saying like by saying I'm a collector of anime steelbooks doesn't mean that I'm collecting every anime steelbook.
Okay, so are you saying that if you got more into like collect or going out and buying like vintage board games, then you'd be more of a collector? Like if you were doing specific...
Yeah.
Okay.
And I guess there is some level of like when I'm looking at games to purchase, I will look at like, okay, this sounds fun, but I still don't have this game yet. And this game is one that needs to be in everybody's like board game library, board game collection. So
Okay.
like there is a little bit of that, but it's a weird thing. I don't know. And like I wouldn't say that I'm like a board game collector. I'm saying I'm like a board gamer. Like I like to play a lot of board games.
Right.
But I don't know. It's a weird one.
No, it's very bizarre.
I surely of stuff I have the most board games of anything.
Mm-hmm.
Like I have books, I have movies, but like I have more board games for sure.
Right. No, I get you. I do think you are a collector of many things, and
I am. I think that's also just like a thing people my age do.
Yeah.
People our age do. Like just get into stuff, and I don't know what that says about our age group, but like I definitely feel like a lot of people I know just like I'm into this, I'm just going to start buying stuff related to this. I'm going to like get really invested in something.
Uh-huh.
And like I think that's like half the reason we kind of started this podcast is because both you and I get like really into stuff. And collecting's definitely like kind of loops into a lot of that.
Yeah.
No matter what I get into, it's very easy to find like a thing where it's like, well, I need to get all of these things. I need to buy all of this. I need to have all of this. I need to go see all these movies, or I don't know. It's something about like completing something is satisfying.
That's another thing. It's like, well, that's just it. Like collecting, you can collect something to completion, or you can collect something for the rest of your life. Like,
Yeah.
I still to this day will like go and steal my mom's jacket in the spring, and there'll be a rock in her pocket.
Yeah.
Like it's just something that even my brother and we just grew up. I still do it. I see a cool rock and I want to like send a picture to my mom. It's like,
Yeah.
It's ingrained in me that I'll probably do the rest of my life. My grandma does it. It's a whole thing. But yeah,
Right.
I wanted to jump back a little bit. But yeah, the entire reason we were doing this podcast is because I feel like you and I have so many interests that we just bob and weave into different things that, recently we're into this, and that's kind of the whole purpose of this.
Right.
Recently I've been into podcasts, and we have one now.
Yes, exactly. But like, yeah, I collecting's so weird. Like it's just like one of those like hobby not hobbies that like it's not really something I would say I would ever consider like it's a hobby of mine. Because like even like these movies, I'm collecting these movies,
Yeah.
but I wouldn't say like I'm making a hobby of collecting these movies.
Well, so that's
It's just
another
something
thing.
I'm doing. It's just an activity.
I think that's another thing, though, is like, at what point is it a hobby? Because I guess if you're collecting like stamps or quarters, like we used to have, well, we still have it somewhere, but like the national parks quarter booklet.
Oh, okay, yeah,
'Cause,
yeah,
like,
yeah.
each quarter would have
Yep.
the national park, and we would collect those as like a family. I have no idea where they went. They're somewhere at my mom's, I'm sure. But that was fun, and I know that was kind of like a family activity, but it wouldn't have been like a hobby.
Right.
It's not like every day we were like, oh, let's look at our spare change.
Right.
I guess I don't know what the definition of hobby and collecting is.
Yeah. I just feel like collecting is like, yeah, one of those things that you do, and it's not necessarily like an activity unless you make it. I feel like if I spent a non
Sorry, I googled it. It's a hobby.
It's a hobby. Okay.
It's a leisure activity where people actively pursue the enjoyment of gathering and preserving specific items, often focused on a theme or interest.
Okay. But like I don't know if it's
You definitely are a collector of board games.
Oh, sure. I
friend.
mean,
I'm
here's
sorry. You're a collector.
Here's it. Okay. I mean, like, I'm not even gonna.
Nothing wrong
I'm not
with
even
that.
gonna
I'm just
shed
saying,
that.
you're a
I'm
collector.
not even gonna shed that. But I feel like it is a weird thing that you can be a collector without being a hobby, though. Because like,
right?
I wouldn't say I spend a crazy time on Blu-rays or anything. Like, I'm like kind of keeping an eye out casually, but like, I'm not like investing research and hours, and like I'm kind of just casually browsing every so often, and if I see
Right.
one I'm like, ooh, cool. But like
Right.
board games, yeah, you're right. Like maybe you're
A little
selling
bit
me
more
on
time.
this. Like I do spend time researching board games and learning about board games and trying to figure out if they're like fun or like I bought a board game, I'm gonna have to return it because I bought it, looks cool, and I did a bunch of research on it afterwards. I was like, there's no way I'm going to play this. There's I would play this, but there's no way I'm going to get anybody else to. So
No one will.
So like I'm going to have to return it, but like I do spend time researching it. So like I guess that is, and like adding things to my collection of board games. So I guess yeah.
Yeah.
I guess yeah. But like there's like a different level of it, right? Like I feel like I do collect a
Yeah.
lot, but I wouldn't say like when I'm buying stuff, I'm thinking about it in the sense of like, well, I need this to complete my collection.
No, and I'm thinking of it like there are professional collectors out there who like are on eBay
Yeah.
and like scouring the internet. Like I am a collector of things that I just like stumbling upon things like pins. Like I might be thinking, oh, I'm gonna go look at the pins, see what they have, but I'm not gonna be upset if I don't see one that I really like, and I'm not just gonna. It's kind of like I'm the same way with tattoos, where I'm just like I need to really think about it and really want it.
Right.
Something has to jump out at me and be like, oh yes, this is the one that makes me feel good. That's part of it too. Is that it's weird to think about. Collecting is weird.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah. It's fun. I don't know. I feel like I've had lots of different collections of different things, and I just feel like it's always like a reflection of what I'm into at the time. So like right now I'm like watching a ton of anime, so it's like kind of fun to collect anime stuff. You know, back when I was a kid, I was reading all sorts of Harry Potter all the time, so I was getting that. When I'm kind of I just kind of feel like I'm forever now into board games, which is super nice. It's been like a hobby I haven't bounced off of, which is really nice because I feel like I usually bounce off
That's
of stuff.
true.
But
Yeah, you've been on it for a while.
yeah, I mean, long enough that I'd say it's like a regular hobby. Like it's just something I do
Yeah.
now. But, you know, like I was into Game Boy, like retro gaming, and like we'll probably talk about that at some
Yeah.
point. Like I have a bunch of Game Boy games that are like, when I was into
Absolutely.
it, I was buying all these Game Boy cartridges, just because like, well, I want to have these because I want to play them. So like, it's always like kind of like something. It like definitely shows you like a time and place of like, oh, I bought this when I was into this. But yeah, I don't know. It's fun. Like it's definitely interesting to like look back. Do you have any like collections you had as a kid that you don't have anymore, or that you got rid of or sold off or anything?
Well, I did have a Pokemon card collection, and I feel like it got sold in a garage sale when I was young. Like I don't remember what happened to them, but I feel like that's the only thing I can think of because they are not around
That hurts.
anymore. They're gone. And I'm like, I know I had some good cards in there probably.
Yeah,
Whoops.
at least something, right? Yeah.
At least something, because I had a whole binder. It was a big binder of them.
Yeah, I had like Yu-Gi-Oh cards growing up as a kid. I still have some of them,
Nice.
but yeah, collecting as a kid is also weird. Like you don't really have any money, so you're kind of just getting what you get, and you're very like happy with what you have no matter what. Whereas like I feel like when you're an adult, you definitely want stuff as a kid, but like when you're an adult, it's because you have the flexibility to just buy it.
Yeah, that's true.
It definitely changes the collecting a little bit, where it's like, well, I could just buy this. Like I could just get this if I want it, but
I could just do that.
like knowing where to draw the line can be challenging, I think.
Yes. The other thing that I can think of that I had as a collection would probably be cool rocks, like I said. Like, I was outside all the time, and if I found a cool rock, I'd bring it inside.
Sure.
I had a cool rock collection. I feel like I'm forgetting something, besides my wizard card collection, which I started as a young child as well.
Yeah.
I feel like there's probably more, but I think I didn't really get into, like, the idea of collecting. Because even Pokemon cards, a lot of the cards I got were from, like, my neighbor who was just getting rid of them. Mm-hmm. And I maybe bought myself, like, a pack or two. But I had so many that I just didn't think I needed to buy anymore.
Right.
So the first, like, real, like, oh, this is what I want to go to this. There was a chocolate store up north by my grandparents' house when they lived up north. And that was the only place I knew of that had chocolate frogs. So every summer, my goal was to go into town with my grandpa and stop there and get like a pack or two. If I can get him to buy me 2 packs.
Oh, sweet.
Or I would say, give Seth the pack. I'd give him my chocolate. He'd give me the card.
Right.
Like, I didn't even want the chocolate. And that's something that says a lot about my little child brain, because I was all about the chocolate. But that was like the first time I was like, no, I want these. I want to build a collection, because at the time, like I said, like the first 4 cards I got were people I had never heard of, like in Harry Potter. Like the first owner of the Leaky Cauldron or something like that. It was just like, oh, this is fun.
Yeah.
I have no idea if they're even canon anymore. The ones
Most
I have,
likely
I have
not.
no idea.
Sure. I'm sure not.
Which is really cool now that I have them. I mean, they're not worth anything, but it's
they're fun for you,
that I have
right?
that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I also am like kind of similar lines, like not into this for like any of the collections I have like no illusions that they're gonna be worth anything ever. It's more just for fun for me. Like, it's like, cool, I have all this stuff, and like not to like just try and like acquire, but it's like, I like these things, I'm happy I have these things, which is kind of fun.
Yeah, it just makes you happy. It makes you feel good. You're like I haven't looked at my wizard card collection in a while.
Yeah.
Like, they're in my closet somewhere. But like, it's fine. Like, I know they're there and whatnot. But
there's definitely like a downside to it, right? Like, if you get really invested in your collection and like getting into the hobby of like, I want to buy and like have everything, like there's definitely like a FOMO, I don't have it, so it's not good enough mentality you could get into.
Yeah.
But you know, I think like whenever you get to that level, like then it's a problem. But before that, I think it's just kind of fun to have things and, you know, like collect different things you like. And I don't think, going back to like what we were talking about, like what is and what isn't a collection, I think kind of whenever you feel it is a collection, you can say it's a collection, which is like not an answer. But like also I think that's true. But I think it's true. Like, I think if you have like, I wouldn't say like 2 things is a collection. Like, I would never say that unless like the intention is you're going to get more.
Right. I think the intent and the feeling you get when you get like the next one, I think that's kind of like,
if you're yeah, it's like if I'm trying to like deliberately get more of these things, then I guess it's a collection. But like at a certain point you'll be like, oh yeah, this is my collection of this, and that's fine. Like collection of CDs or collection of vinyls, or there are a lot of hobbies that are just like very collector focused though now, and I feel like with like physical media coming back in a huge way, like that's probably going to be something where I feel like I mean, like the Blu-rays I'm getting, right? Like, I don't know, 15 years ago or whatever, when everything switched to streaming, I wouldn't have ever thought like, yeah, I'm going to be buying these because it's cool to have them physically. But now it's cool to have them physically. Yeah. Because I don't know. Sometimes I'll be looking for a movie and it's just not there.
It's not there, or you have to pay like $6 for it with ads, and you're like, why?
It's like, well, I already paid. This is a one-time purchase, and now I can watch it whenever I want. And whether or not I watch it as many times that it, nets out evenly, as far as like how many times I could stream it, I guess it doesn't necessarily matter, but I don't know. It's just sometimes nice just having the actual device or the actual music or the movie.
No, I hear you. Like my brother, I got him a record player for his birthday last year.
Oh, sweet.
So it's fun giving him records because I think he's kind of particular with them. He likes movie scores and video game scores mostly. Yeah. So those are what I focus on getting him. He only has 3 records right now, but yeah, I could see that being a thing where we just keep throwing them at him.
Yeah, I think physical media is, and like this is kind of off topic, but like physical media is something that's kind of exciting to get back into as a collector or as like something you're collecting, partly just because like a lot of the hobbies and interests that we had as kids was like movies and TV and music. Maybe I guess I would never say I was into music, like even though I listened to a decent amount, but like a lot of that stuff, as everything went digital, like I didn't know what to ask for. If like people would be like, oh, what could I give you as a gift? It's like, well, I don't know. Like, I don't really want anything.
Yeah.
That's, and it's like kind of nice to be able to be like, oh yeah, if you can find this movie, like that'd be really cool. Or if you can find this record for like your brother, it's just something kind of nice to have like a little bit of like a tangible item again, rather than just this weird like a gift card or
here's a gift card
like,
to the Apple store, like okay, here you go.
Like not that it's all about gifts, but like sometimes like people want to give you something and it's like, well, I have nothing, like I don't know, all my hobbies are digital. Like it's kind of cool to be like, no, actually I like a lot of digital things, but you can give me a disc for it. I don't know.
It is. I mean, that is part of it too, where like collecting most of the time is tangible items, so you can even tell people like, hey, these are the kind of things I'm interested in, specifically anime steelbooks. Maybe you can even like say, oh yeah, I've been looking at this one specifically, and I can be like, oh cool, gift idea.
Yeah. Although I wouldn't recommend it because a lot of them are expensive in regards to anime steelbooks.
Man, no, crazy. Okay. I've already told about James's gift, but I also bought my brother the Arcane steelbook. So
yeah, it's a good one. That one I have. I've showed you.
That's why I got it for him, cool. And I have it, so I know it's here, and Seth's gonna love it. You're welcome, my brother.
They're sweet. Yeah, I don't know. Something about it's kind of fun, but I mean, they are pricey. They do get spendy. Yeah. So, but I think like, within reason, I think it's still fun to get.
Yeah, I mean, and Blu-rays were really expensive when they first came out, and now you're adding like a cool metal case around it. So, I mean, look, it's fine.
Yeah, I have just funny story about collecting, just to kind of cap it off a little bit. But one of the steelbooks I bought, and you know this because you have the copy.
Yes,
one of the steelbooks I bought on Amazon came in damaged, and it was for Dragon Ball. And I had to call Amazon customer support and ask if they would send me a new copy because it had a big dent on it, because it's a tin. It's like a tin case, so it can get damaged pretty easily. And I had to explain to the nice customer service rep on the phone that I hadn't watched the movie. I don't know if the disc works, but the case is damaged, and I would like another copy, please. And had to explain.
The disc does work.
Yeah, that's good. Okay, and I had to explain several times, like, yeah, I know it might work. I don't know, but I just want one that's not damaged. It was so embarrassing. I don't think I've ever felt more embarrassed calling customer service.
What? No, you paid for a perfectly good one. I didn't pay for anything, and I'm okay with the damaged version.
To be fair, yeah, it's a steelbook. Like, that's the point of buying them. But I feel like that wasn't clear to her. And so then I was like, man, this is embarrassing having to explain that I want it non-damaged.
Okay, well, that person doesn't understand. I would have understood. I'd be like, oh, sir, I got you.
She was at a certain point, and then it was like kind of weird. And I was like, okay, this is good. I'm done. Like, she's like, I'm a fan of Dragon Ball as well. And I was like, I don't know if you're just messing with me now or what.
Oh, no.
But it was a good time. I mean, hey, it came in, and you got a copy. You got a free movie. I got my movie back. It all worked out.
Everything worked out in the end.
Yes. Yeah, but I guess, I don't know, any final notes from you on collecting? I feel like I've talked a lot about my stuff and what I'm into, but...
No, I think we covered it. Like I said before we started, I was going to ask you things like, what is a collection?
Yeah.
Why is a collection?
And then we just kind of didn't answer that the whole time, so...
I feel like we did. I Googled it, all right? It's a hobby. That's all I know.
We will
people
happily...
collect whatever they want and enjoy it.
We will happily Google what our topics are on podcasts and tell you what they are, listeners.
Yes.
But
because look, we're not professionals. We're just having fun here, and hope everyone listening is enjoying the episode so far.
Yeah.
But yeah, Matt, thanks so much for joining me again.
For sure.
As my one true co-host.
True. Yeah, happy to join. Happy to talk about collecting. I think next week we'll talk about something that you're doing, or topic you're bringing to the table. I guess it could be what we're doing recently. Not sure. Probably something of the sort.
Probably.
But yeah, thanks for letting me kind of rave about my collection. I feel like now I'm just doing like nerdy stuff, so I need to do something like super macho and cool after this, because it's been like anime, collecting anime, board games, like
watching anime.
I need to get into like I know I did
anime.
lifting a while back, and I need to do something really cool. So maybe I'll like go like I don't know, like bale hay or something, just so that way it like seems like I do something. So
bale hay. Okay, Matt. Yeah, okay. We're gonna end this podcast because you're losing it, man.
Cool. Well, yeah. Well, thanks for chatting with me, and thanks, listeners, for listening. I'll let you kind of sign us out, I guess.
Yeah, all right. Yeah, thanks again, everybody, for listening. If you guys collect something, let us know in the comments. This podcast is now on all platforms, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and on YouTube at So Recently. You can find us there. But yeah, if you enjoyed this, give it a like, share it with your friends, and we will see you guys in the next episode. Bye, everybody.
Bye.